What's up, everybody? Today we're talking about buying a used car versus a new car, when you should do it, what numbers matter, and what to think about long term. I've got Bonnie with me today, so it's going to get really exciting. We're going to start right now. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, for those of you that are new, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you won't miss anything when we go live or we drop a new video. Okay, today we're talking about buying a new car versus a used car, buying a used car versus a used car. When should you do it? And what numbers we think about when we're advising our clients, right, Bonnie?
Right.
So check this out. So we're going to go through what people want. You know, people want to get a good deal. They want to make a good transaction. We're going to try today in this video to teach you more than just having a good transaction, looking at your vehicle purchase over the next 5 years.
It goes beyond the deal.
So Bonnie, tell me what people want when they're looking at purchasing a vehicle and they're thinking literally about used versus new. What are they trying to do?
They're trying to spend a certain amount of money and get what they feel is the vehicle that's best for that amount of money. I think
that's what you usually hear. So
they're trying to hear.
they're trying to save a certain amount of money.
Right. They're trying to save a certain
spend
amount of
money within this budget, and so they're determining, is it a new car or is it a used car? And a lot of times people don't think they can afford a new car, right?
Right. Well, they'll come in usually, it seems to me, that they come in and they'll say, I want to spend this much money and I want this type of car, usually a Honda or a Toyota. And so they're thinking, I'll get a used car and then I can get the Toyota that I want because a new one is out of my budget.
That's what they think, right? That's in their mind, that the used car will be in their budget for today.
Right.
So basically that's a common thought, right? People want to get a used car because it's in their budget today. And what they're willing to sacrifice for it are things that I don't think they think about. So we're going to discuss some of those things right now.
Right now.
So what are 3 things that people can give up when they're trying to save a little bit of money to keep the car in their budget and they don't think about it going forward long term? What's one of the things that they don't think about?
Well, the warranty is the big one. At least that's the one that I think about the most, is that if something breaks on that car, especially if it's a newer car, it could be a very expensive thing breaking on that car, and there's no warranty, or you've run out of warranty to have it fixed.
Correct. So the warranty helps you replace some of the maintenance, any repairs that need to be done to the vehicle are on the manufacturer's arm, not ours. So when people think they're saving money getting a used car, they may not be saving as much money as they think because later that car could break.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some of the other things people don't think about is reliability and consistent maintenance. So like if you get a new car, you know you're going to be the first one to service that vehicle.
Yes.
You have Carfax, you have things of that nature, but you don't know how that last person serviced that vehicle. So if you just take their word for it, it's probably not a good idea. If you do buy that used car, make sure you start from today and go ahead and service it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it always brings to mind the story of my friend who had bought a used car. It was an much older used car, out of warranty, and he's driving it home, about 2-hour drive, and the engine quits. And the reason he discovered later was because the person who had owned it before him had not changed the oil on a regular basis. And there had been enough oil when he looked at it, when he went to look at the car to buy it, but he didn't know how it was being maintained up until then, and it ended badly.
Yeah, so once again, don't let today's decision affect your life down the line, even if it's in your budget. So one of the first things you have to keep in mind when you're looking to buy a used car over a new car because you want the vehicle to fit in your budget, just to recap, is warranty, reliability, and consistent maintenance. You just don't know. So if you do decide to do that, make sure you start maintaining the vehicle right now for yourself and don't take anybody's word for it. So one of the things I try to get people to understand is spending money over time versus spending money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're thinking about, hey, this car fits in my budget, it's an 18, I have some rules, so $5,000 is about what you should save if you ask me, if you're thinking about a new car versus a used car. And I'm talking about a 1-year-old used car. So if you're thinking about getting a used car, keep these things in mind. So the first thing is the things we just discussed, right? Make sure it's got warranty, reliability, consistent maintenance. And if these vehicles that you're looking at don't fit in that budget, here's some other things to watch out for. So let's say that the budget you have will not allow you to buy a vehicle that's still under warranty. So what can you do if you need a sport utility, you need a car, you need something that's going to be good for your family? I understand. I mean, I've purchased those cars myself in the past, and we do provide a lot of vehicles like that. But today we're just going to talk about a few things you can keep your eye on when you're getting ready to do that. All right, Bonnie, give our viewers some things they need to consider when they're buying a vehicle that's 3 or 4 or 5 years old that you would watch out for as their consultant.
Well, one thing I would watch out for would be the miles. Even though a car is, maybe it's 1 year old, but it's got 60,000 miles, that's probably not the car you want.
Oh, 1 year is 60,000 miles. Okay.
I've seen them.
Really?
Yeah, when you look up the used cars, some people, I don't know where they're going or what they're driving them for, but they put a lot of miles on the car. And so you might see a vehicle like that. If it's got that many miles, it's out of warranty anyway, and your attempts to stay within the warranty period are going to fail. So that would be something that's the first thing I would look out for.
Well, you know what? That's cool that you said that, but right. So those cars typically end up on the market a little bit cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you're
These
saying
miles use up a car.
don't fall into that trap of cheaper's not better.
No, cheaper is not necessarily better with a car. I mean, people talk about how it loses value the minute you drive it off the lot. Maybe it loses a little bit of value. I'm not even sure I believe that statement, but it does. They lose a lot of value when you're just using them up. It's like if I sold you half a cookie, you wouldn't want to pay as much as for a whole cookie. And if I only had one bite left, well, you wouldn't want that at all.
That's
How's
true.
that for an analogy?
That's no warranty and all eaten.
All eaten.
Not good.
The car is all eaten up. And yeah, you want to be careful of that.
All right. Okay, so one thing I'd like you guys to watch out for if you're looking at an older used car is the history of the vehicle, the biography of the car, where the car's been, who used the vehicle if possible. I mean, a lot of things with the laws now, we can't divulge customer information. However, you can tell where that car has been over the past 5 or 6 years. You can look to see how many miles the vehicle was driven per year before you bought it. And you can try to find service records that were entered into Carfax. Like, we spend money on Carfax to make sure our clients get that information so that we can look at it ourselves before we purchase the car.
Right, and what we look for is whether or not the vehicle's been in an accident. And
Yes.
even there's different kinds of accidents that you might want to consider a little bit differently.
Right. So you're talking about minor damage versus
some
hail.
are minor. Sometimes it'll tell you if it was an accident where the airbags did or did not deploy. Sometimes it'll just say major damage, and it may have been fixed, but that's something to consider when you're looking at a used car.
Yeah, I had a client ask me that one time. She's like, well, I know it's been in a wreck, but the dealer said it's not that bad. And I'm like, well, on the Carfax it says vehicle was towed and disabled. I'm like,
Right.
man, okay, so like that's one thing we're talking about. Keep an eye on that. So just because the price is lower doesn't mean you should spend that particular price on that car without doing your research.
Right, and you may be able to get a better car. I mean, that's something to consider. When you're doing your research, it's not that anything is necessarily a deal breaker or isn't a deal breaker. It's that you may be able to find a better vehicle.
I like it. Now we're also going to have to mention stepping over $5 to pick up $1. So like, listen, if your budget is $15,000 for a sport utility or some type of a vehicle, be prepared to look at vehicles that are $17,000. Not because you can get a discount, because of how much more vehicle you can get for the money. Meaning, let's imagine this, right? You're looking at a 16 that's out of warranty with 49,000 miles on it versus a 17 that has 35,000 miles on it, and that car's $2,000 more. It's time to start telling yourself this may be a better purchase because this car I may spend less money over 5 years on this particular car than I will on the one that's cheaper today.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That $2,000 in maintenance that you may end up spending, that's worth thinking about.
Absolutely.
That might be what you just said. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, but that's the message.
Yeah.
It's a message I'm trying to convey to the audience. It's like, guys, we all are transactional. We want this transaction to fit within our budget. But I'm telling you, in cars, it can bite you because 2 years from now, as time goes on, doing a transmission or fixing this or fixing that, having that little bit of warranty left on the vehicle is a lot of money in your pocket. Okay, Bonnie has some closing thoughts for us. Bonnie, for people that you would give this video to before they buy a used car, what would you like to end the video with?
How about this? That a used car, it can be a good purchase, but you want to consider more than just the price. You want to consider whether it's going to be reliable. You want to consider whether or not it's still in warranty. And you want to consider whether or not the maintenance was consistent on it. And you may or may not be able to tell these things when you actually go and look at the car. So in some ways, maybe it's more of an art than a science buying a used car.
It is. It is totally an art. That's why we exist.
That is why we exist, because we are the artists.
I hope this video helped you today. Please like it, share it with your friends, and post comments in the box. If you have questions, please leave them for us. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions at a later date.